Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel Ray the Chemist. Today on our show Science Friday. Now I have changed the name from Fact Friday to Science Friday because the stuff which I am uh, uploading here is more appropriate with this name. So welcome back to our new our show Science Friday, and today we'll be talking about the fighter jet Rafale. So let's get on to it. So the fighter jet Rafale is basically created by a French company named Dassault. So Dassault is a French company which creates this fighter jet right here, named as the Rafale fighter jet. Okay, so this fighter jet is basically a very interesting fighter jet because it is a multi-role fighter. What do you mean by a multi-role fighter? Let's begin with it. A multi-role fighter is a fighter plane which is used in many different types of combats. Either it be a dog fight where two airplanes are heading or fighting against each other. So that is known as a dog fight. Both, and also for, let's say, missions where you have to go into very remote areas and then launch missiles. All these kinds of missions, the Rafale fighter jet is suitable for them. So this is a very interesting part of this fighter jet. So next is about its engine. It's a French twin engine twin engine fighter craft. So basically, as it was created by a French company, Dassault, so it also has a French design with twin engines. So there is one engine on this left side, one engine on the right side. Now let's move on to some other specifications of this fighter. It is a turbo fan engine, not a turboprop. Turbo fan engine. I maybe also be making a video on the different types of engine. You need to wait for around 2 to 3 weeks. And now let's get on to the type of wings. Now it uses a canard delta wing. Canard delta wing. So what do you mean by delta? Delta is basically a Greek alphabet like this. It has a triangular shape, and so is the shape of this Rafale fighter jet's wing also. You can see it resembles a triangle. Then what is the meaning of this canard? Canard is basically these two things. So if I draw these, if you see carefully right here, these two small winglets that you see ahead of this main fixed wing, these are these two small winglets known as canards, and that is why it is known as the canard delta wing. Okay, now let's look at this image of the below side of the Rafale fighter jet. Now if you see carefully right here, this has many types of missiles fitted under it. We'll be talking more about them in the next slide, but right now what I want to tell you is these two things, this and these. Okay, so now this thing right here which you see, this is a mid-air refueling pipe. Mid-air refueling. What do you mean by that? Actually, this whole aircraft has basically one kind of fuel tank in its wings, which I am drawing with this purple magenta pen, and also it has these three smaller drop fuel tanks, which means these tanks contain fuel but can be dropped very easily. So what happens in mid-air refueling? Through this pipe which you see right here, this pipe, fuel is fed from another plane straight into this pipe, which fills these tanks in the wings, and this is known as mid-air refueling. There are many fighter jets which are capable for mid-air refueling, and one such example is also this Rafale fighter jet. Along with these mid-air refueling, It also supports drop tanks. These are these uh, tanks which you see right here. Earlier we used to think that these are missiles, but no, they are basically fuel tanks which can be easily dropped out, because sometimes the aircraft does not have to carry so much load to require extra fuel tanks, and also when it has to run away very quickly, so it can lose these uh, very heavy tanks and reduce its weight so it can move very fast. So now, as I told you, we'll be talking about its missiles, and here are some of the missiles on the Rafale aircraft. So these are basically the missiles which India is using, and they are Scalp, Meteor, and Mica missiles. So let's learn more about them in detail. Now, what is this Scalp missile? Scalp is basically known as Stealthy Deep Strike Cruise Missile. Stealthy Deep Strike Cruise Missile. What do I mean by that? Stealthy. First of all, stealthy means that it can be hidden from the enemy, which means it is not detectable in the radar until it comes very close to the radar. This is the meaning of stealthy. Deep strike means it goes into, for example, you have mountains. It can go into these very deep and remote areas and then attack its target there. Meaning of cruise means it can take out its wings. So, for example, if we have the Scalp missile like this, it can take out its wings with which it can very slowly descend in these areas. It can very slowly descend in these areas and then attack its enemy. So it is a very heavy missile, 130 kilograms, but also has a very long range, 5.1 kilometers. Here meters are mentioned, but actually it is kilometers. So this was basically about the Scalp missile. It is a stealthy, which means it can be hidden from the enemy's radar. Deep strike, which means it can go into very deep areas and then hit its target. Cruise missile, which means it can very slowly descend with the help of its wings. This is known as the Scalp missile. Next is the Meteor missile. Meteor missile is also known as its type is basically a beyond visual range air to air missile. That's what we call the Meteor, BVRAAM. It means beyond visual range. What is the meaning of beyond visual range? It means it can hit a target that you cannot even see from this point. For example, from this point you can only see till this distance, but the target is right here. This Meteor missile or the beyond visual range missiles can also hit these targets which cannot be seen from one point. Okay, so this is the meaning of this beyond visual range. Next, air to air missile. It is used for air to air combat. Air to air combat means you have a aircraft here and you have an aircraft here. So this aircraft, which for example is the Rafale, it can launch this Meteor missile and also hit the target plane. Okay, so this is the meaning of air to air, which means it launches from the air and hits a target in the air. Air to surface is from the air to the surface. Surface to air is surface from the surface to the air, and also there is also a surface to sea or air to sea, which means you are hitting from the surface or from the air into the sea. Okay, so now you have understood what a Meteor missile is. It's a pretty light missile and also has a pretty good range of 3.7 kilometers. Now let's look at our third missile, which is the Mica missile. Now Mica missile is a pretty light air-to-air combat missile. It is a multi-mission missile, which means it can be used for multiple roles in the air. So not anything special about the Mica missile right here. It's a 3.1 kilometer range missile, weighs 112 kilograms. Now let's look at the fourth missile that India carries, and it's Rafale. Okay, so right here these green missiles that I am marking with this blue pen, these are the hammer missiles. These are the hammer missiles. These are surface these are air to surface. So right here you have your missile being launched, and it can hit a target on the surface. This is the speciality of the hammer missile. You can think of it as a hammer falling from the sky. It is a very impactful missile. So that was it for today's Science Friday. See you next time. Please like, share, subscribe, and do comment. Thank you.